Clash of Styles is at 115 pounds, and it means a lot to this division. We have MacKenzie Dern taking on the tiny Tornado Tecia Torres. And Matt, well, I said Tornado like somebody that's from, I don't know, somewhere in the States, pick the place. If I look at Tecia Torres, she went on a 4-fight losing streak a while ago. And I'm going to list off the names in that losing streak. Jessica Andrade, former champ. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, former champ. Weili Zhang, former champ. Marina Rodriguez, future champ. Pretty crazy how that stuff happened. So that spanned from, early 2018 to the end of 2019. Since then, 2020, a win over the recently renamed Brianna Fortino, formerly Van Buren. Then she gets the win over Sam Hughes, finishes her. That was on short notice, replacing Angela Hill. Then she gets the Angela Hill fight, and she looked very good in that one. That fight was back in August of last year. So for Tecia Torres, a little bit of time away. For MacKenzie Dern, her last time out, it was a main event against Marina Rodriguez, the aforementioned Rodriguez, future champ. That fight was 5 months ago, in a fight where MacKenzie Dern had her Brian Ortega moment in that fight, like Ortega did against Volkanovski. MacKenzie Dern was in her spot against Marina Rodriguez. Rodriguez just held on, and then she withstood it, and then she was able to really pour on her pressure with her striking, with her volume striking, which is something that you also see out of Tecia Torres, who implements more wrestling than we see out of Rodriguez. But still, this is a very, very tough fight to really talk about. It is.
It is, and for Torres, she is in, it's a weird purgatory right now in the division, if we're all being honest, because you point to her 4 losses, all of those are forgivable. Those are 4 of the best fighters in the division's history. You look at her 3 recent wins, though, none of them mean that much, if we're all being honest. The Angela Hill win's a good win, but Angela Hill hasn't really looked like herself in a meaningful period of time at this point. So for me, there's still a bit of a range to where, I don't really know what version of Tecia Torres we're going to get, because we always know what her skill set is. She is a wrestle boxer to the highest degree. She doesn't throw kicks at all. She'll throw a left kick to the body every now and then to close the distance, but it's not really part of her game to where you're thinking, wow, Torres is going to be kick heavy. So she has to get on the inside and use her boxing. And 9 times out of 10, she has to take down her opponent to win a fight. It is very, very difficult for Tecia Torres to just go out there. And I really do think this has to do more with just her physicality and her size for the division, because it's really hard for her to stay on the outside and really pitter-patter away, because she has such short arms and she's very small for this division. So she is someone who, A, needs to get on top of her opponent, and B, needs to go to the body and to the head with her boxing combinations when she does get on the inside. That's a very, very risky game plan when you're fighting someone like MacKenzie Dern, who, yes, she struggled at range a lot with Marina Rodriguez in that fight, but that's the big difference between Tecia Torres and a striker like Rodriguez, who can hit you from basically across the cage. She's so long in this division, whereas Torres is really going to have to close the distance much more to really be effective with her strikes. And for Dern, like you said, honestly, that fight, I don't look at as a huge negative for MacKenzie Dern. I just think Marina Rodriguez is that good of a fighter to where she can stay patient in bad positions, similar to Montel Jackson. I give him a lot of credit for that. Montel Jackson's one of the few guys who can go from being in a rear naked choke to having a Kevin Holland expression on his face where he's like, okay, I'm not tapping out, to immediately dropping and hurting his opponent right after. I really liked what I saw out of Rodriguez in that performance, because it just showed a certain level of professionalism that we had yet to see up until that point. So for Dern, yes, she really struggled at least getting the takedown after that point, but that's the weird thing about Dern. Is she better grappling than Tecia Torres? Without a doubt. They're, again, not even in the same planets, but she lacks the wrestling to get this fight to where she wants it. So for Dern, I think she's going to have success on the feet in this fight, but that's going to be a hard ask against Torres, who's so fast with her combos.
The thing that it's weird, because I just disagree on one point. When Tecia Torres took on Brianna Van Buren, it was Van Buren initiating the takedowns, and it was Torres having success on the feet, but Van Buren, not much of a striker, it is primarily wrestling, whereas Torres can mix it up enough to where she is a much more polished striker when she takes on just a wrestler, but when she takes on a good striker, she then can wrestle, and you saw that out of her performance after that. And then in the Angela Hill fight, Hill was able to get a couple takedowns, Torres was able to get one, and it all came out in the wash at the end of it. Torres able to get the win. MacKenzie Dern, numerically, very poor takedown defense, but you know exactly why. It's not like Damian Maia had the best takedown defense either. We're out there to try and submit you, and if you try and take me down, I will then try and submit you. We saw that out of even Mike Malott in his last fight on Dana White's Contender Series, who's also on this card. You should go check out that video. He's taking on Mickey Gall. But again, we look at this one for Torres. Her losses are to the upper echelon, and then you can also say, okay, well, she lost to Rose Namajunas a while back. Well, future champ or former champ. She also lost to Carlos Esparza in The Ultimate Fighter, who then went on to win that season and become the champion. So Tecia Torres really has only lost to the upper echelon of competition. During the 2 losses in the UFC, one to Amanda Ribas, where It did not go well. And then the fight, which was a fight of the night against Marina Rodriguez, performance bonuses against Hannah Cyphers, Randa Marcos, and Nina Nunes. And in that Nina Nunes fight, I said I would mention it. MacKenzie Dern looked like a reinvented fighter. It was like, this is striking MacKenzie Dern now? Oh my goodness. She looked great against a good striker, Nunes, who had the long layoff, was coming off the pregnancy, and so on and so forth. So some extenuating circumstances there, but nonetheless, we have a look at the odds for this one. They opened at par. Dern, slight favorite, minus 120. Torres, slight underdog. We'll call it a minus 105. Let's have a look at the Tapology votes. Surprise to us, they are to you. I'm going to say over-under heavily skewed to Dern, but I'll say 67.5% Dern over-under.
I think it'll be over.
You think it's going to be over? It is over. 1,790 total votes, 70% Dern, 62% by decision for the 30% that have Torres, 88% by decision, Matt. It would seem so that would be the way that Tecia Torres win a fight against MacKenzie Dern. What do you say?
So MacKenzie Dern is one of these classic fighters who really has to rely on her opponent to make a mistake, and then she has the ultimate ability to capitalize. Because when you're as good as MacKenzie Dern is at jiu-jitsu, it's basically like having Francis Ngannou knockout power. It's just, you have to use it in a very different way. You have the ability to end the fight just like that. And that's a really, really powerful thing to have when you're in an MMA cage, especially at the strawweight division. But this is the problem. Tecia Torres doesn't make a lot of mistakes. She basically makes none. And that's the thing about Torres. When she loses fights, it's because she's so overmatched on the feet 9 times out of 10 that she can't fire anything back on her opponent. Go back to the Wei Li fight, go back to the Joanna fight. It's really just her on the receiving end of a lot of combinations. And then physically, because she is a lot smaller than those women, she doesn't have any tools to then get on the inside. And Wei Li and Joanna, don't know if you guys know this, have phenomenal takedown defense. So when she was able to get on the inside, she wasn't able to have a lot of success there. Those are all very fundamental skills, though, and those are what Tecia Torres excel at. She's kind of like Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. And for those reasons, I do think Torres is going to be able to beat MacKenzie Dern. I don't think it's going to be pretty by any means, but I think she's the steadier fighter on the feet. And her output numbers are absurd at this division. I know, numbers, like we just brought it up, you can't put a lot into them, but Torres truly does have phenomenal cardio, and she's someone who constantly throws punches when she is on the feet. So unless Dern's able to hit her with a big shot and get her down that way, or immediately get like a wonky takedown from a heel hook attempt or something and end up on top from that, I do like Tecia Torres in this matchup.
MacKenzie Dern went 0-5 on takedown attempts against Vina Jandiroba. She was able to outstrike her. I thought Vina won the fight, but regardless of how that fight went, Matt, it's the fact that they went strike for strike and Dern wasn't able to get the takedown against a good grappler. Vina was able to get her own takedown and the fight went as the fight went. And for some reason, Vina Jandiroba is a picture on Ariel Helwani's set on the MMA Hour.
Because if she came out to Island Boys, the song, he said he would permanently put the person's face behind him. Sean Brady was originally going to do it, but Vina fought before he did, so she took it.
Do you think we can have a poll like that? All right, if Tecia Torres walks out to the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald... I'll put Tecia Torres' picture, and then I have the record, so we'll put Gordon Lightfoot on the wall, too.
I think we can make it a lot better, but okay.
I mean, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, it's a great song. But when it comes to this fight, I'm in agreement here. I have Tecia Torres. I love the volume on the feet. Her strikes landed per minute number is higher than an already high number of strikes absorbed per minute that MacKenzie Dern actually has on her stat line. Again, stats and records for DJs, but Gordon Lightfoot, you never know. It could happen.
Records are for DJs. Stats aren't.
For both of us, we're going with Tecia Torres in this fight as a slight underdog. You let us know who you have down below in the comment section. The fans and the odds both in agreement with Dern here, so maybe we're way off in left field, but a big time opportunity for both of these fighters. Nonetheless, in a stacked strawweight division, big time main card rolls on. You're not going to want to miss any of it. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.